So today's song we're going to talk about is a song called Catnip High, which is the only song, I believe, right now out that is in a major key for Lost Symphony.
Yes, right now.
Right now.
Just for now.
We're happier.
Right. We've come a long way
Surprise!
since we started out.
Surprise, it's not all Dungeons and Dragons. The song's called Catnip High, which is an example of our senses of humor because everybody in the band at the time, I think other than Cory, had cats. So we all... I believe I was listening to the mix back because we had originally called it Waltz.
Yes.
Because it's in 6/8.
Yeah, it's not really a waltz, but it
No.
kind of almost had a waltz feel.
Yeah. Kelly informed Brian and I that this isn't actually a waltz after we had called it Waltz for 3 years. But my cat was high on catnip when we were listening to it, and she looked like she was dancing around. So Lucille up in heaven, thank you for your... love for this song.
Yes, quite the legacy to leave. And yeah, it's definitely a song that gets more attention than I initially thought it would, but it's one of people's favorites whenever they tell us, what song they like.
I think it's one of those things because it's a feel-good song, and the crazy part is that this is also a song that was the very beginning of Lost Symphony when we were actually calling ourselves Symfinity. It was me, Brian, Kelly, and again Conrad Simon, who's elusive and this crazy player that we don't know that much about him, but there was one point where we had a whole Facebook chat thing going between Brian, Kelly, myself, and Conrad, and this was the second song. The first one was Leave Well Enough Alone, and after that tune we were kind of like, okay, that was really cool, maybe we can do something else. So Brian and I were working on this waltz, which was really just basic chords, and what Conrad and Kelly did to this song to this day has just blown my mind.
Yeah, so let's dive in. That was not the original intro to the song. That definitely came about later when we heard some of the stuff that Kelly was putting together.
Yeah, so Kelly, Brian and I had written the basis of a pretty straightforward tune, and when we had listened to what Kelly's layers were in the middle of this song with all of these different things going on, it was that, and we had soloed it, and I remember thinking to myself, first off, it's Brian May vibes, which I know is not necessarily one of Kelly's biggest influences, but for me, Brian May is everything, and it was just so triumphant and awesome that just to hide it in the middle of the song seemed ridiculous. So that actually happens again in the middle of the song, but we decided that if we just tape it and put it at the beginning of the song, that it would be an awesome intro.
It's kind of a common theme. There's a part that's so cool, but it gets buried in these dense productions, and then we're like, well, we have to feature it. We got to make it, pop up, make it stand out, give it, some spotlight. So listen to this isolated here. And I believe then we had Siobhan come in and do her thing over that to kind of fatten it up, and that's when you end up with, and there might actually be some MIDI strings in there as well, maybe? I don't know what this is.
I don't know, but...
This was a long time ago.
Really long time
but
ago.
Yeah, when you do have it all in there, it just sounds like... I think, Kelly kind of described it as a fanfare, which is very kind of starts the song out with a big epic drop.
Just these beautiful chamber strings underneath this insane part. This is the kind of stuff that makes me like want to call my mom and be like, "Aren't you proud of me?" Even though it's totally Siobhan kicking ass, it's like, but I told her to play those layers.
And then we get into the meat of the song here as that fades out.
Starts off with Conrad Simon, the psychopath, on the guitar.
That was one of those times where we got the track sent to us and we just stood around the computer listening to it soloed for like 40 minutes straight.
Well, that was one of the... Here's the thing that's crazy about it is that we did this 7 years ago or something. 7 years ago, the difference between then and now is that there are tons of kids on YouTube that are doing stuff like this. But like, I feel like when I heard this for the first time, I don't know if I'd ever heard picking so ferocious like that on anything like that wasn't like Paul Gilbert or Nuno or something. So Conrad, and even the harmonies on this, like you should just solo it. They're like silliness. It's like how, and if you count the notes, it's all like weird increments. So it's like, if you think you know, you probably aren't playing it right.
I still want to quit guitar every time I hear it.
Yeah, man, that's just insane.
The funny thing is, so there's another layer under this that probably no one really hears, but it's kind of felt, and that was Matthew LaPierre adding a little extra sparkle. I think towards the end of the recording process, we felt like needed like a little bit of like extra shit. It's like a very beachy vibe.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, so that's another layer that kind of gets lost in everything, but in the mix you can kind of just get a little bit of whiff behind everything.
But if you feel like really special and warm and fuzzy inside, it's probably because of Matt's surf guitar.
Yeah. You can hear it. It's just you would never notice it. But the fundamental kind of root of this song came from the piano part. That's where it was basically just all built around this.
Real simple stuff, but when you create like arpeggios like this and you get a guy like Kelly or a guy like Conrad Simon to come in, like it's endless because you've now given them the constriction of here are the harmonies, but then those guys are out of their minds. So something that's simple and just elegantly beautiful, they're able to turn it into something that's mind-numbingly ridiculous.
Yeah, this one came together, I think the layers were the piano, and then I think Paul went over it and did his thing, which is just absolutely like crazy, the way he built in the dynamics and the way things shift there. And then I think I did the bass, and then it was just off to the races with everyone else there.
Well, a lot of people don't realize it. Like, so Paul will only hear that piano part, right? And then we'll be like, yeah, play totally freaking crazy. Like, what do you want me to do, bro? And like, he will create dynamics that aren't there. Like we're like, go nuts here, go even crazier here, okay, even crazier here, and then we go back and we kind of match the dynamics of stuff. But when Paul's playing the drums, it's always to virtually nothing.
Yeah. So 80s.
So this is basically how the song starts. And the thing that you guys have to realize that's so awesome about Paul is I guarantee you he doesn't remember a single thing he played on this song. He probably doesn't even remember he recorded this song. He comes in and we will just throw him this and be like, okay, here's this arpeggio that we do over and over and over. Can you make drums happen? And he'll just go and like, oh, and be annoyed about it. And then eventually, like an hour later, he'll come out with these perfect parts. He's never practiced to it. He's never heard it. He just goes part by part. Oh, is that what it is? And like he has this incredible Rain Man-like memory to go like for changes.
Yeah. So when you're listening to the song, just imagine it's all just kind of it's like musical diarrhea is the best way to put it. I think probably the worst way to put it actually, but it's the way I put it.